Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Rapid Fire Reviews. So I do these when I'm getting a little behind on my movie watching for the year. So I pick 4 movies that I either missed in theaters earlier this year or things that are more straight to streaming movies. So the 4 that I have are Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham, Operation Fortune, The Magician's Elephant, and Missing. So I basically just take these 4 movies, give my very quick thoughts about it. Did I like what the movie was trying to do or not? What I thought it did well, what I thought it didn't do well, and just a general overall score of what I think about the movie, what I recommend it or not. So yes, without further ado, let me get to reviewing these 4 movies. So I'm going to start off with Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. This is an animated Batman film that is about 90 minutes long. PG-13 is the rating. Stars David Guglielmone, Tati Gabriella, directed by Christopher Berkeley and Sam Liu. The basic premise of this movie is that an ancient evil awakens and only Bruce Wayne can save 1920s Gotham City. So this is a very Lovecraftian take on the Batman lore. You have some of the Bat family, and again, too, 1920s Gotham. It was really, really cool to see it. I did kind of wish that they would have dove a little bit more into this world and into this society in some ways, because it definitely just looked like the regular Gotham City we're used to, and they didn't really dive into that history of this world too much in ways that I just would have liked that they could have done it in a lot more different ways that I thought were really, really cool. But I did find that this movie did do the Lovecraftian take of things pretty damn well for the most part. They have the whole element of mind flaying and seeing just creatures and monsters beyond human comprehension, and it drives people insane, but it also gives them insane powers. So you see villains like Penguin, villains like Poison Ivy, who get mutated into just monstrous creatures after gazing upon, again, too, the creature, the Doom that came to Gotham. Ra's al Ghul is the main villain within this race, and of course his daughter Talia. And there's a lot more villains and heroes that make their way into this, which I thought was really, really cool. Oliver Queen becomes a big part of this story too. And I found for the most part, this movie did do a lot of really cool things, had a very decent story for the most part, and I was quite enjoying it for the most part. I did find that the pacing was off in a lot of ways, and again, too, it fumbled a little bit in terms of how it handled this world and how it showed off such a cool iteration of Batman. And just again, in terms of diving into Lovecraft, they could have done things in a much more interesting way. I found it was very, very predictable how events were going to play out in this movie. There is a lot of heart and a lot of just, again, too, things that hurts, things that really shape the character of Bruce Wayne within this movie, but I just found that there's so much more that could have been done with this concept. If they would have given it a bit more of a runtime, I feel like an hour long, they could have had something really special on their hands here. Again, too, it was just a concept that was really, really cool, but I just feel like there needed to be so much more to handle it properly. So I'm going to give Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham a 6 out of 10. I still feel like it is a must watch for anyone who's a fan of the DC animated movies, and especially the animated Batman movies, because there's some really cool things that this does, and I feel like it definitely can get people into this world and read more of the graphic novels, the comics that inspired this movie, and even the Lovecraft lore that inspired it. So I do think it is worth the watch for more of the hardcore DC and Batman films and the fans of those films. Next up, we have Operation Fortune. So this is Guy Ritchie's newest movie. It is just a little under 2 hours long, rated R. Stars Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Carrie Ellis, and the basic premise of this is that Special Agent Orson Fortune and his team, so Jason Statham, and of his operatives, recruits one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars to help them on an undercover mission when the sale of a new deadly weapons technology threatens to disrupt the world order. So for the most part, I find that plot line develops very, very generically, and there are some fun things that this movie does, and some of the fight scenes are really, really great in that way. But I found that this story is kind of a been there, done that sort of thing. Nothing new that you haven't seen from a lot of action movies that have come out in the past 10 years. Definitely a lot of Jason Statham's past movies, especially when it comes to the whole throwing an actor in a role that he's not suited for and not supposed to be in. And again, so this is the same Jason Statham that you've seen in probably about every single movie that he's ever done. So it is very, very, again, too generic in a lot of ways. but I found that the writing of Guy Ritchie, again, too, brings this movie to life in a lot of ways. It has some stylistic action, which was really, really fun to watch. And Aubrey Plaza is pretty funny in this too. I did really enjoy her character and her performance. And I did, again, to find that this movie just had too much goofiness within it. It's sometimes it works, sometimes it really didn't work for me. Overall, I did have quite a fun time watching this movie, and for some action buffs, I feel like this will be a one to watch, kind of turn your brain off and have some fun with. The directing and the style of it is really, really fun, and it is definitely one of my more favorite Guy Ritchie movies. This guy just pumps out movies like it's absolutely nothing. But yeah, no, this honestly, it was decent. I had my fun with it, and overall, I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Again, too, if you're a fan of Guy Ritchie movies, or again, too, just turn your brain off, have some fun action movies with some good humor, good, it's very quippy. This one will be right up your alley. Next one I have, you'll be able to find on Netflix. It is The Magician's Elephant. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long, rated PG, directed by Wendy Rogers, stars Noah Jupe, Mandy Patinkin, Brian Tyree Henry is in this one as well. And it is about an orphan boy who's told by a fortune teller that an elephant will help him find his lost sister. So it takes place in a world that used to just be thriving with magic, but due to wars and just a bunch of very tragic things that the state has done to its people, people lost hope and thus lost the magic that once powered and inspired their world. But there's this young boy who starts to inspire a lot of hope within people as he's trying to, again, to save an elephant who mysteriously appears in his world by doing impossible tasks for a king. And again, too, the impossible tasks that he does takes very practical elements from our world, but makes it seem magical to the people. That starts to inspire hope within the world. And again, too, he's told that this elephant will one day bring him to his long lost sister, who he thought he lost in the war. So overall, this movie is pretty cute. It has some good messages for young kids, and it definitely has lots to aspire to for, again, to a younger audience. I feel like most adults might not be able to get into this one as much because a lot of the adult themes are definitely dumbed down and toned down a lot. The animation style itself is it runs very, very smoothly, even though it looks some claymation at points. It does work very, very well for the world that they created here. And again, too, it kind of falls into that category where I feel like they could have done a lot more of this world and a lot more with the ending of this movie. The pacing itself is decent for the most parts, but it just felt like there was a lot of magic missing from this movie, like it was missing from the world in a lot of ways, especially when it came to the ending of it. So the voice performances are very, very well done. And again, too, I enjoyed this movie for the most parts as I was getting through it. So with everything taken together, I'm going to have to give The Magician's Elephant on Netflix a 6 out of 10. Definitely worth a watch if you have kids. It's something very easy to get into and get to. It has some good messaging in it. It's a good movie for the most part. And now last up, we have a film called Missing. This one is about an hour and 50 minutes long, rated PG-13, directed by Nicholas D. Johnson and Will Merrick, and it stars Nia Long, it stars Storm Reed, and it is about a young girl after her mother goes missing. She tries to find her mom from home using the tools available to her online. So there's a movie that was done a few years ago. I believe it was called Searching, and it's definitely very similar to, I'd never watched that movie, but it's similar to that, where a lot of the story is filmed through the webcam on this girl's MacBook, through Snapchats, through Instagram stories, things like that. It's all filmed through these elements of technology, and she uses that same technology to track down her mom who's gone missing in a foreign country. And I found for the most part the filming of this was really, really cool, and the acting is great for the most part too. Storm Reed definitely has a pretty good performance within this movie. But I did really, really like the pacing. I liked how they presented the information to, again, to the characters, how she was able to find everything. I found that sometimes there was it came off a little more cheesy than it was inspiring a lot of ways, in the ways that she uses the technology to help find her parents. There's some just again, too, there are moments that are serious, but just with the dialogue, it did make me laugh a few times, where especially like all the "Hey Siri" elements within it. Um, Again, too, that's probably just meme culture and things like that ruining it for me a little bit. But Again, so I did really like how this was paced. There were a few times where this definitely wasn't predictable in my mind, and again, too, the way that they were able to pace out the information, I thought was great. A few times I felt the scenario was a little over the top and over dramatized, again, too, in ways that just made it feel a little more goofy than it did serious in some ways, especially near the end of the movie where I didn't like kind of the joke that they made in terms of telling us how events played out within the movie. So again, too, it's decent for the most part. It's very very stylized, and again, so the only thing I can think of that's similar to that is that Searching movie. I believe it was called Searching, but I never saw it. So again, so this was very very unique to me, and I did have quite a bit of fun watching it. And again, so unraveling the mystery within it. It's definitely not a good whodunit in a lot of ways because it hides that elements of, well, it hides a lot of things from you before it does the reveal. So there's no way that you could ever pick apart what exactly was going to happen, what the case is by the end of this movie or by the time the reveal comes. So again, so it's not a good whodunit in that way, but I did have some fun with it. And overall, I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's worth a decent watch, especially if you're a fan of Storm Reed or if you're a fan of Searching. I feel like this is something that you could easily sink your teeth into. So if you've seen any of these four movies, please let me know what you thought about them in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this edition of Rapid Fire Reviews, definitely give it a thumbs up, and you check out everything I do on this channel through my playlists down below and all links on the top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turning that little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. And check out the description of this video or my channel bio. There's a link to the media amounts and much to my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community. I'll make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
I just hope that someone would love me.